afternoon, or morning, or night, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eve Berrington, otherwise known as Evie B. And I realized that I have to return this book to the library tomorrow because I'm going to compete on American Idol. I'm going to compete on American Idol. Anyway, I wanted to read quickly with you guys Chapter 2. Why? Because it's so super duper awesome and I really want to come back to this book and build a tensor rod, or at least hear from you guys about if you've built one or you've used one, or a pendulum, or you use the side to side / forward backward motion to measure positivity versus negativity, or a yes and a no, if you will. So please allow me to read from Chapter 2, which will just go on to describe several symbols and what they're used for, what they have been used for in the past, and then what these particular practitioners from Germany have actually used on their patients. Chapter 2, from Painting the Energy Body. Geometric signs also transmit vibrations. If symbols are painted on the skin, for example, they can alter the vibrations in the energy field of the person or the flow of energy within him. The exact kind of change the symbols create will vary according to the placement and type of sign involved. This finding is the basis of so-called informational medicine. The use of geometric signs and symbols to alter energy vibrations is no invention of modern times. Symbols have played a big role in all cultures, as they are the transmitters of energetic messages in condensed form. Body illustrations have been used all around the globe, from the South Seas of Africa to India and the Americas. In spite of divisions of time and space, and without the possibility of contact between the different peoples, many cultures made use of similar geometric forms. For example, several parallel lines. A powerful example of this kind of body symbology was unearthed with the discovery of Otzi, a 5,000-year-old glacier mummy whose history of injuries was tattooed in lines and crosses on his body. See the box on page 14. Oh, it's just more information here. I'll read that in a second. Some people react negatively to the idea of work with geometric symbols. The rejection occurs most frequently in European latitudes where clergy in the Middle Ages tried to eliminate most traditions by means of inquisition and witch trials, thus depriving the whole civilization of direct sensory experience with symbols for close to 500 years. Healing with geometric signs has nothing to do with sorcery or magic. Instead, it is a matter of rediscovering the long-lost knowledge of our ancestors, which is returning to us from many directions. Great thinkers in fields as diverse as physics, biology, and psychology have explored the power of symbols in recent times, from physicists studying quantum mechanics to Carl Jung, whose theory of the collective unconscious showed that symbolic material in the morphic field is stored in archetypal figures and mandalas. Here's some of these symbols and figures that you may have seen. It says, symbols are omnipresent. The Maltese cross, the Wunjo rune, Feiyu rune, the wheel cross, the cardinal cross, and the flower of life. Here's the Otzi box. Is Otzi evidence for acupuncture? Otzi was a corpse found frozen in the Tyrolean Alps in 1991. He was estimated to be at least 5,000 years old. Otzi's body was tattooed with multiple lines and crosses. Later research suggested that these tattoos marked the places where Otzi was being treated for back and abdominal pain. Quiet, you. In a special conservation chamber, the 57 linear tattoos were measured and photographed, and then compared with the acupuncture points of traditional Chinese medicine, TCM. The results were astounding. Most of the points correlated with the classical points of acupuncture, and many were on the bladder meridian. From this, the meridian therapy experts examining Otzi speculated that the arthritis in his lumbar vertebrae and leg joints was being treated by these symbols. Wow. Linear tattoos on his gallbladder, liver, and spleen meridians suggested that he also suffered from gastrointestinal disorders. In any case, these results opened the door for new discussions as to whether acupuncture really had its origin in China or perhaps farther in the West, in Eurasia. And farther back in time, too. Independent of acupuncture, there are also other teachings and systems concerned with circulation of energy and points of energy in the body, such as the trigger points, according to Janet Simmons and Paul Travel, and the head zones or points used in Japanese Reiki. From yoga and tantra, we know about the energy rivers called nadis. Ancient Indian writings discuss between 77,000 and 350,000 of these passageways in the body. Continuing on to healing symbols. A healing symbol, from the Greek symbolon, meaning connection, is a visible sign whose connective power can effect a wholesome vibration between that which provides the form, sickness, pain, and the ideal state, that is, between matter and consciousness. It was Eric Korbler, again, who rediscovered an underlying pattern behind the most common symbols in the world. He identified these common elements, 1 to 9 parallel lines, the equilateral cross that can be constructed from these lines, the epsilon/life rune, and the sine curve. All of the symbols or geometric signs shown on the following pages were developed from these simple forms or their combinations. In the following sections, you will learn how new homeopathy works with these signs and how you can discover what sign should be used in which case by using the single-handed divining rod or tensor. The first sign, the sine curve, the symbol of reversal. I'm sure y'all know exactly what a sine curve looks like, but there you go. Focus, dang it, focus. The sine curve is always a symbol of change or reversal. It transforms unwholesome information into wholesome, and the reverse as well. Be careful. Therefore, this sign should be used with care. For example, if this sign is used too long, the positive is reversed back to the negative. Hush you! The sine curve can be painted directly on the skin and can also be independently employed to redirect all sorts of unwholesome information, such as disorders, illnesses, or negative beliefs. That I find truly interesting. That is an aside, not written in the book, but I was approached by a friend who said, let's tattoo it. Let's just tattoo it on your problem area. But as stated in the book, it reverses both good things and bad things. So it's like, well, I hope you know which one is which. You have to be very clear on what you're trying to reverse, and then the good thing with paint is that it just washes right off. Here's a case study, toothache. A female friend of mine had been having a light toothache off and on for a few days. It was Christmas and I had been invited to her place for dinner. When I arrived, she had already prepared the food, but could not eat anything because of her toothache. I did not have my tools with me, so I simply drew a large sine curve on the cheek where the affected tooth was. Within a few minutes, the pain had almost entirely subsided. My friend could enjoy her meal, we had a nice Christmas evening, and she was able to delay her visit to the dentist until after the holidays, all because of the healing sign on her cheek. So whether or not it worked, well, it did work. It stopped her thinking about the pain. So next time I have an injury, I'm definitely going to try drawing the sine symbol on my body. Just to see. Here's the next symbol. The life rune. Epsilon. Strengthening. Which is this Y-type figure right here. In contrast to the sine curve, the Y always works in a positive way. It transforms unwholesome information into wholesome information. Information that is already wholesome, like a positive affirmation, is further strengthened by this symbol. The epsilon is always used at the end of the chain in a successful water transmission to stabilize the information in the body in a permanent way. It is only seldom used on the body itself, and only for certain complaints. The epsilon is a powerful form in the natural world. Antibodies have a epsilon form, and when they bind with cells, they render bacteria or viruses harmless. If a tree grows in a geopathic zone of disturbance, the trunk will divide itself in order to evade any geopathic effect, virtually assuming an epsilon form. The water molecule is also epsilon-shaped. Next, the equilateral cross, cleansing the living space. Although the cross is now known around the world as a Christian symbol, it was used in many ancient cultures. Note that it was only the equilateral, primitive Christian cross form that works in an energetically positive and shielding manner. The Passion Cross, that is created by shifting the horizontal beam upward, has different energies. For instance, here's a picture of that. That's equilateral. That's not slightly lifted as with the Christian cross that we know today. The protective character of the equilateral cross has even been noticed by real estate insurers in Switzerland, who have observed that houses whose windows are decorated with equilateral crosses have less chance of being burglarized. Interesting. In informational medicine, the equilateral cross mainly finds use in the cleansing of living space. For example, to free water veins or geopathic zones from interference. It has a protective effect rather than a transformative one. Unwholesome radiation may still be present, but the body no longer reacts negatively to it. The equilateral cross is seldom painted on the body, although some have found that using it in this way protects them from the effects of frigid conditions. Hear that, all you cold seekers up there, you northern and southern livers? And by southern, I mean south of the southern hemisphere. So, scientists on Antarctica, basically, I guess. Put on your cross. Here's another case study. Acute injury. Uwe B. suffered from a deep burn on the nail bed of his left thumb and complained of severe pain. It was a 3rd-degree burn and about 8 millimeters in diameter. I advised him to put an adhesive bandage on the burn and told him which geometric figure to draw on the bandage. See Chapter 4 for how to determine which symbol to use. The pain was alleviated at once. Uwe B. showed me his thumb after a week had gone by and reported a pain-free course of healing. The burn was completely healed with no scar left behind. Okay. Last symbol in this chapter, the symbol of electrosmog, reducing the pollution of electrosmog. Here it is here. This symbol, which is reminiscent of an I Ching sign, consists of a special combination of lines and is mainly used for electrosmog and geological radiation pollution. To discharge this type of energy from the body, simply gaze upon this sign for a few minutes. I'll do it later. The symbol can be placed on electrical devices like cell phones and computers to free them of interference from this kind of pollution. That is very cool. That is the end of chapter 2. And the next chapter is testing the resonance principle, which I am very interested in doing, but I'm leaving for American Idol, and I just don't have time yet to explore the fantastical universe of tensor rotting. However, I really do want to come back to this, and I will come back to it. I will come back to it. So I hope that you enjoyed this reading series. This was my test of my Evie book club series. So if you liked it, let me know. If you had any recommendations for books to read through in the future, either fiction or nonfiction, I would definitely consider it. So thank you very much. I love and appreciate all of you, even the haters. Hey! And I hope that you have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you very much. Goodbye.